Hi, and welcome to He's Alive Inside. I'm Joe Stanfield, the station manager here, and I want to thank you for joining us. It's been a little while since we've taped a segment here, but there have been lots and lots of things happening at the station, and we have lots to catch up on. So, but without further ado, I want to introduce someone that many of you probably do not know, and his name is Chuck McLaughlin, and he is our new vice president for the board of directors. Welcome, Chuck. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Joe. It's great to be here, and hopefully we can air out some things and get things moving in even better direction.
Great. I'm really glad you're on board because I know you've been here on the board of directors for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, somewhere in there. And we're a little familiar with you, but our audience is not.
Right.
So let's introduce you to them and give them a little background of who you are and where you came from and why you're here. Okay? So let's do that. So let's start with, where'd you come from? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. Born there, raised there, graduated from high school.
So you're a relatively local boy then?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. You're a regional boy, I guess, would you call it?
Right. Moved here in 70 after graduation, but then I still tell people Bonners Ferry is my hometown.
Yeah.
So.
You said you moved here in 70 , right?
1970.
What brought you down this way then?
My parents moved. My dad was in construction, but then because of health reasons, he had to stop driving truck, and so he got a service station, moved to Spokane. I helped him until I went in the Navy.
Okay. And let's see here. If I remember right, your bio said you joined the Navy in 71.
71. The following year.
So did you volunteer, or were you volunteered?
I volunteered, basically. The draft was coming up to be renewed. I was about 150 on the list, and if it was renewed, it'd take me a year and a half before I'd go in. And I thought, well, let's just go in and get it over with. And somebody told me about a 2x4 Navy program, 2 years active, 4 years reserve. I said, okay. I can always re-up if I like it.
That works for you then. That worked for you.
Me. Yeah.
All right. So you joined the Navy. What did you do in the Navy? Or are you going to have to kill me after you tell me?
No. I was trained as a machinist mate. I worked in the engine room of a destroyer for 1 year. And then I made friends who decided they didn't want me. And so I went mess cooking for a year and worked in the galley. Actually, as Jack of the Dust, I was in charge of food storage for a year, and a whole different ball game. But made friends there.
One of our other volunteers was a cook in the Army.
Okay.
So
great.
Bob, who's helps out the station all the time.
Yes.
He was in the Army. I believe he was in Europe, and
Correct.
just sometime around near the same time you guys.
Last week about that.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Okay. So after your time in the Navy, I know in your bio and in talking with other people as well, with you, there seemed to be a shift of some sort, and I would title it as a shift towards wanting to help people, and in specifically psychology. Is that correct?
Yeah. Actually, I came back and I started working in a lumber mill, and then I worked there for 20 years, and the shift probably came in 82.
Oh, okay. Right.
So
I had my dates backward, a little backwards there.
Almost 10 years after I came back, when God got a hold of me, and I joined the Adventist Church and started to understand what God had created me for and desired for me. I continued working for another 10 years at the lumber mill, but then as they were closing down, I moved into psychology. Before that, I was going to school, and I got my AA degree from Spokane Falls, and I've got a degree in photojournalism from Spokane Falls. And but as I progress, basically, or what you call a progression, I think is God working in my life, and I found out that I liked almost any job I had. And it wasn't necessarily the job I liked, it's the people. I just got along fairly well with people, and I felt comfortable around wide variety of people, different people for different reasons, and I got along with people.
Okay, let's step backwards a little bit, because you said you came into the church. You found God. You discovered Christ, and can you give us a little bit about what happened? Give us a little testimony there.
Um, it's a long testimony because I can look at a lot of things that God did. Basically, after the Navy or about the time I went into the Navy, drugs and alcohol became a very big part of my life. I'd slow down, then fall back in, slow down, fall back in, go through cycles. And during that time, I was taking my mother-in-law to church because it was the only thing she asked me to.
Oh, okay.
But my life wasn't matching at all what the Bible was saying. I would go to church, teach Sunday school to my kindergarten son, and go out and smoke homemade pot, homegrown pot. Come back in, mentally go through the Bible and mentally debate the pastor. I was doing a lot of reading in spiritualism, Eastern philosophies, the occult. And one night, God just said, "Okay, are you going to keep that up, or are you going to follow me, or are you going to follow what you've learned?" And He brought back a vision. Basically, it was a prayer that He answered when I was about 8 years old. I'd lost my brother's fish hook that he had bought, and he told me that he wasn't going to give me any more. It just snagged on a branch as I was walking down the trail. I couldn't find it. I thought I spent a half hour, but at 8 years old, you know how long the time is. I got down on my knees because I had gone to several vacation Bible schools. My grandparents were Christians, and as a little child, I just said, "God, please help me find that hook." I opened my eyes, and here was this hook about 3 inches from my nose.
Oh.
And so that was what God said. Yeah, I'm here. I've answered your prayers before. I know, and I couldn't deny Him. And it was another year passed, but basically, circumstances brought me to evangelistic meetings by Russell Burrell at the Valley Church, the last one that he had there. And my wife, who had stopped coming to church with us, with her mother and I, because she saw my hypocrisy, came and she felt the Spirit. I fell in love with the message. It was what I had been learning and debating the pastors mentally anyway. And the Bible, just from Genesis to Revelation, fell into place. And here's the church preaching it.
Okay, we've got just a few seconds left. So we're going to pick this up in the next segment.
Okay.
Because I want to hear just a little bit more about that. And we want to go in and talk a little bit more about, some of your vision that you have, for the station that you feel, coming up, seeing you've been involved for a little bit. And so stay with us. Okay, don't go anywhere. You're going to stay right here? All right. Folks, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jim Eyre with Adventist World Radio, and I'm here today with He's Alive Television. They've got the opportunity to reach 5 million people with the gospel message through Roku, streaming media. It's a new technology, but they need your help. Please partner with them. Give your gifts today of love. It's going to reach many people for Jesus Christ.
Hi, and welcome back to He's Alive Inside. I'm Joe Stanfield, the station manager. And if you were with us the first segment, you got to meet Chuck McLaughlin, our new vice president, and got a little bit of acquainted with him and his past and what drives him a little bit. Well, we're going to delve a little further into that this segment. And so, Chuck, I want to welcome you back again. Thanks for staying around.
You're welcome.
All right. We left off kind of, in that era of where you were starting to get into psychology and some things and that the education side of that and helping people.
Yeah.
And that's, to tie it into our ministry a little bit. I think there's it can be correlated, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there can be a correlation between the helping people, because we help spiritually. We, with our programming, some of our programming, we do psychology shows, we do family shows, to help marriages and things like that, kids shows, cooking shows, the health side of things. We do, we have, hundreds and hundreds of hours of these programs that help in multifacets of their lives. And so that's why I'm interested to find out more about your psychology background and your willingness and wanting to help people, and how that ties to us at this ministry.
I think God puts in each one of us a caring, and he brings us through life at different steps, different places, allows us to go through certain traumas, certain mistakes that we make, learning, and when he gets a hold of us, we want to help those, especially that are kind of suffering for the same things that we went through. And God wants to bring us and make us whole. He doesn't want us to be broken. And I think that's part of why I went into psychology. Actually, again, to kind of step back, about 3 years after understanding God's call, I thought he wanted me to be a pastor.
Oh, really?
And several people were telling me this and moving. And so I applied to Walla Walla. That didn't happen. They said they sent me 3 application packages from June, July, and August. And of course, school was starting, and then it didn't. So I put that on the shelf. And several years later...
So it's kind of like a door or window being closed in a sense in your mind.
Exactly. And then, so it was several years later, I felt God leading me again towards psychology, which I think any good pastor is a good psychologist. They understand, they work well with people, they want to help, And so I went out to Eastern, took 3 aptitude tests, and both pastorate and psychologist, counselor came up high. I went and talked to and this was the Tuesday after Memorial Day, and if anybody has ever registered for college and think you can walk into a counselor's office, and get registered and stuff, then I knew that it'd be October before I would see an advisor or anything. And sure enough, I walked into the advisory thing, and the first open slot was in the middle of October. As I was putting my name down there, somebody asked me if I was so-and-so. I said no. He said, well, obviously he's late. Do you want to see a counselor? I walked in, and I was registered that day for Intro to Drug and Alcohol.
Oh, so okay, so that again, here comes that almost a freight train concept.
Right, a closed door and now an open door.
Right.
And I was going in the fall thinking, okay, I'll start this process now, and hopefully by next fall it'll be in place, because the door had been closed before, and now it was sprung wide open. And so interesting turnarounds,
Well, let's jump forward then. Okay, 15 years into the career.
Yeah.
And you're helping people. And you're helping people. What again? What continued to drive that forward then? Because in some ways it almost seems like an accident. In some ways.
Yes. Again, I can see it easily as God's leading, because everything happened for a reason. I hadn't thought of myself as needing that, because I'd already been clean and sober for 8 years. But then after I get in drug and alcohol, I found, okay, God had a purpose. And I worked even for Deaconesses before they closed. I've worked for Detox. I worked for Spokane Community Health or Mental Health. And then when Deaconess closed, I started helping a friend that had an adult family home, working with the elderly. And then before I retired, I worked for family home care and helping the elderly. The blessings was working with elderly people that had so many life experiences.
So it ends up being a life of servitude in many ways.
Oh,
then.
yes.
Absolutely. Well, and that's not radically different than what, again, to this ministry. So I see a much more direct line of understanding why you may have gotten involved with this ministry in some level. So and I want to touch on that, because we've only got about 2.5 minutes left. And so, as vice president, now the newly elected vice president just recently. What are some of the things that you see? Again, this ministry that you want to exploit more, that you want to be able to present to the people and have them understand what this ministry does, what it means.
Yeah. The people, yes, but also our churches. We have constituent churches that I'm not sure that they completely understand the asset that they own. And to be able to use this tool to promote the gospel is a phenomenal tool that they have, and I don't think they're using it to their full extent. I would like to go to the churches and present that, and present what opportunities and what tools they have available, and make the most use of them. And this kind of comes back with my concept and understanding that the church was set up by God as a tool for his disciples to use to spread the gospel. So we should be using all the tools available to spread the gospel, to uplift his name, to bring peace, healing to the individuals, to the communities, to the churches.
Yeah. Well, and that's, we've got 1 minute left, and you mentioned a tool that they don't even necessarily always understand what they have at their disposal. And I'd like to have this conversation with people, and I've had it with Pat, our president, and I think I even talked with you not too long ago about it. Was that what are we doing at 2 o'clock in the morning?
We're sleeping.
We're checking our eyelids for rust holes.
Right.
That's the term I like to use for it. So this ministry is moving forward at 2 o'clock in the morning and presenting the gospel of Jesus Christ.
It is. For those, and I've worked graveyard a lot of times, and there are people up at that time that call and need help.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Chuck, I want to thank you for coming. I appreciate you being here. We're going to have you back again. We'll discuss more good things and more fantastic ideas that you have for this ministry and for us moving forward. So appreciate you being here.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, folks. We'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back to our final segment for today. And with me this last segment is, you have seen before, she was here before, and so I have the dubious honor of introducing, once again, our president, Pat Jessup. Hi, Pat.
Hi, glad to be here today.
I'm glad you're back, because it's been a while since we sat down here and talked.
Yeah, it has. We've had a very busy few months.
Yes, lots and lots and lots of things have happened. Good things and bad things,
yeah,
but
personal and business-wise.
Yep. And it's been an adventure.
It's a growth experience.
It's a growth. I'll give you that. Growth is that's a real good word for it.
Yeah, I can even remember the day I was voted in. I ended up in the emergency room the same day.
Well, see, this is it. And then we just talked about that and I'm going to tell the audience. She went to the hospital the day she was voted in as president. But my take on that is that the devil did not want her working and helping this ministry in any way, shape, or form. He was bound and determined to stop her. But she's a trooper, so she's still here.
Thank you.
And God blessed, and
Yes,
He
He
continues
did.
to bless.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into this because we have lots and lots of stuff to talk about.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about the fair first. Okay, that's coming up in September. And I don't like to date things per se, but we need to talk about the fair because I want people to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, why we're there.
And it'll happen before we know it.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not encouraging to get summer over with, but the fair will be here, and we're going to share our presence there to share what we're doing.
Yes. Well, 200,000 plus people on average are coming through the fairgrounds every year. So, I mean, I think that's a tremendous opportunity for us to present in a very aggressive way, maybe a more of a subtle way of presenting the gospel of Jesus.
We're not selling fry pans.
Yeah, we're not exactly that. We're not exactly that. And so I think it's an opportunity to have conversations, and I think people would be surprised at how often people will approach us at the booth
Yes.
and want prayer.
Yes.
And just, who are you guys? What is this? Oh, that's great. Wow, I'm going to check it out. And now we have so many opportunities and ways in which people can watch our television station that I'm really excited. Again, this year we have more to present to the public. And so
Boy, we sure do. We sure do. And because now I'm the president and I really understand what's going on, I think. I didn't realize what all this entails. And it is, my neighbors don't know about it, and I've been telling them. There's a lot of people don't know there's good news on 24 hours a day.
Yep, absolutely there is. And that's, I guess we talked about this a little bit. You've been here a few months now, and you've started to get a feel and a flavor for what the ministry really does and what it can do. And as Chuck said in one of the previous ones, a lot of people don't even understand what this ministry does for people in our communities and now around the world through our internet streaming and various other aspects. So I guess my question would be, what excites you? What's exciting you about this ministry now?
Well, there's several things, and other than me getting to be part of it, is there's so many opportunities for people to get on there. There's Chromecast, and there's Apple TV, and it's online. It's I have my little card here, by the way. It tells about, you can get on the computer, Roku, all these different things that will let people get on our program and listen to it. And everybody is looking at their phones right now.
Right.
It's either
Right.
Apple TV or the Androids, and we're even going to have an app there.
Yes, we do. You can download that app and just hold that up just a little bit. Just kind of turn it around the other side.
the
there.
other side,
Just
okay.
kind of hold it. Don't worry about zooming in or anything, but people can see. This is a business card that we created, and so what we hope to do with this, we can supply people if people want to hand this out to at their churches, at their businesses, whatever they want to do. We're happy to supply these to people. There's a great little tool, tells them how to get our ministry. So they can watch it on, like I said, online, on our mobile apps, through Roku, through Apple TV, coming up real shortly, and multiple other facets.
So as people come to the fair, we
Yes.
can share that. And then we're going to show a live feed, or is it going to be a feed of some sort so they can see our program?
It'll be a feed of, most likely it's a DVD loop. I hate to give away that secret, but because of the location inside the fairgrounds, the building is a big metal building.
Yes.
And it does not allow signals to get in there at all.
No.
And so we do a DVD loop that samples the majority of, or several good big pieces of our programming. You know, the most popular ones usually.
And we want to give good news to people, and
Yes.
we can't do that if they don't know. And so I think it's very. In fact,
No.
I got some good news for you.
You have good news for me? Oh,
Yes.
cool.
You know what I
What kind
did
of good news?
today? I put up some jam, and I'm going to give you some good
Oh,
news.
I get good news.
I know it might be kind of corny,
No,
but
I don't think
we're
that.
here to
This is great news.
share good news. And we know that people like jam, but people like Jesus, they will much better.
It's sweet.
Yes.
It's sweet. And everyone, in talking with Chuck earlier, he found a sweetness in Jesus. I
Amen.
like the parallel. I like
I've
it.
never been the same since I found the gospel, and I see the world so messed up, and young people, you know, I rode on a bus for several months, and I heard some of these things that they talk about, what the kids do and what they hear and see. They need to see some good news, and I'm just hoping some of these young people will accidentally, on purpose, with God's leading, get on an app that we have and learn about Jesus.
Yeah, well, you touched on it earlier. We've got like 2 minutes left. Just
Is
flies,
that all?
doesn't it? Flies, doesn't
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely flies.
Absolutely.
You touched on it earlier. People are walking around like this all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think they're going to have to create a new neck brace for people to actually pull their heads back, because
They've
they're
already
just
done a study about problems with people's necks looking down
There you
all
go.
the time. Yeah.
There you go. And people walking off of train platforms and all sorts of things. But
Yeah.
but people are already doing that. So we can present to them the gospel of Jesus Christ right in front of them, right on their phone now.
Yeah, but it costs money.
And that's exciting. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And we've talked about that before too. The summers are always a little tougher.
Yes, they
because
are.
people forget, they go on vacations and those types of things. And so we want to encourage everyone to, to not forget their pledges to the ministry, and also take advantage of some opportunities such as our electronic payments through PushPay. If you have your smartphone, they can go to they can text 7797 to PushPay, and that will download an app, and then they can electronically donate to the ministry right on the go, wherever they're at.
But if they're old-fashioned
But if they're
and they don't want to
old-fashioned,
write a check, it goes
where can they send it to?
Post Office Box 19204, Spokane, Washington, 99219. And I know you're going to have that on the screen.
Oh, it's already there.
And
It's
it's
already there.
tax deductible. So
Yes.
you get tax deduction from that too.
Yes. Yes. Actually, some people didn't realize that. We have had some people say, "Oh, I didn't know that was." Yes, we're a 501c3, and so they have the ability to
And
write
we're
off their
definitely
donations.
nonprofit.
Yes. Yes, we are nonprofit. So our monies go to the gospel of Jesus
Amen,
Christ,
and that's all.
That's the focus point. We've got just a couple seconds left, so we're going to sign off now. Is that okay with you?
And I guess I'll have to be.
All right. Well, being the boss, I figured I'd better ask permission.
No, that's okay.
All right. Well, thank you, folks, for being with us this time, and we'll be back soon.